Good day, everyone. Today we're gonna tackle about the Community Action Initiatives, Field Practicum. But before that, let us read the essential learning competencies. Formulate a community actions and synthesize the insights gained in conducting the community action plan that apply the methods of social sciences. So today, this lesson focuses on the 6 simple steps in creating a community action plan. These steps will guide students in facilitating the processes involved in implementing the projects from planning to evaluation. This lesson also includes reminders to ensure that actors in the community will be heard and represented in every process. It is time for the community to be heard, and you will be the one to make it all happen. So what are the 6 steps in community action plan? 6 steps community action plan. First, step 1, study the community or the PESTEL model. Not all who study communities are part of their subjects. These are community scholars who help communities that need support. There are those who volunteer to change the current state of affairs of the community. So, it is important to know or research about the community. This will help you learn if there are issues that must be addressed. Always remember, never limit yourself seeing things at face value, for there are critical links that need to be uncovered or rediscovered. Conduct historical data analysis or participatory observation. Being involved will be essential in your study, as this will give you a first-hand look on how things are done in the community. So, you can start your community study by considering second-hand data sources such as books or the internet. Always be critical in the mores and virtues of the community. So it is a grave error for first-time community scholars to ignore the norm of the communities that they choose to immerse in. Always remember that not all people see the world just as you do. Respect the community and its traditions and customs. This will be vital in creating a culture of trust between you and your subject. So opting to be an outsider will not help you gain substantial information about the subject you are studying. So do not fail to also see it as they do. Having a one-dimensional understanding of your environment and your topic will leave you blind of realities that exist outside your standard perception. Because this blind spot normally does not exist with new researchers, and thus you should participate such pitfalls. So when doing your final research, it is best to have a copy of all your communications as proof and for your protection if the need arises. Do not be scared in creating bridges with organizations. So in making the people the center of your research, you are also helping them discover other things that they themselves may have overlooked. Using the PESTEL model demands work significantly on the side of qualitative research. Your main goal is to describe the current status quo and compartmentalize this in such categories that are easier for researchers to understand or to either decouple or correlate. So because this is the primary baseline of your study in which you will base your big picture perspective. Finally, it is important that you have all pertinent information from the original source. While there is nothing wrong in gathering data from other sources, it is best to get information from the community managers or members themselves. Okay, let's proceed to the step 2, the map out of the community. Community needs assessment. Mapping out the community requires a keen eye to observe the relationship of the members of the community. The dynamics that will be created in mapping will be indispensable in your objective. So understanding the inherent dynamics between actors can be a source of inspiration in creating venues for new opportunities. What this initial process can do is to show you what the actors are in the community at large. Knowing whom to tap, influence, or partner will prevent you or your group in going around in circles and not fulfilling any task. So start by familiarizing yourself with the organizational and personal charts of the organization you are researching. So look only for the ones with the highest rank, but also for those who are most hands or more involved. In most cases, you will be surprised that the levels of involvement in this organization differ among officials or members. Therefore, experiences and perspectives may vary. So as a researcher, your role is to synthesize gathered data into a body of analysis that cuts through the totality of subjects that either proves or disapproves certain misconceptions or ideations in the bigger scheme of things. By mapping the community and its actors, you will see the power relations that you need to tap and the linkages that you need to create for the initial network or partnerships. So also keep in mind that a community already has established networks and institutions. So you may not need to create a new network, otherwise you will be redundant or irrelevant in the first place. So what you will rather do is to consult your network map first and see where you can intervene or help. So your community needs assessment tool will lay out your findings thoroughly. Use this in differentiating the specific needs and wants of your community. Again, remember that your needs and wants differ from those of the subjects you are studying. So expand your worldview to see a unique perspective altogether. You may also have your group huddled throughout your study to streamline your definition and understanding of new findings and concepts. This will help you especially in writing down your research. So the third step is the engage the stakeholders or the key informant interview and focus group discussion. So the only way to know the community is to engage it firsthand. You can set up a key informant interview or even a focus group discussion or FGD to deepen your understanding of the community. When dealing with officers or leaders, a key informant interview is most preferable since it is highly probable that they have hectic schedules and may prefer a secluded setting for privacy or even discretion. On the other hand, an FGD is better when targeting community members that shares common experiences but may have other ways in interpreting issues or giving insights. Assimilating opinions from various sources into one group gives the study first-hand experience of members of the community that will highly influence the initial findings by either enforcing, recalibrating, or completely debunking the first notions created in the research. So prior to the interview, prepare your questions and the possible follow-up solutions or possible follow-up questions. So remember to draft your questions with political sensitivity in mind. Be careful with the use of words and labels that you may offend your research person or your resource person. Observe objectively during the interview to avoid leading questions and tainting the interview session with your personal biases. By engaging the stakeholders, communities, developers, and scholars can peek into a world that can only be understood and felt by the stakeholders themselves. So as an outsider looking in, you will gain substantial realizations from the group discussions that can never be done in a one-on-one interview. FGDs have long been the method of choice for many community leaders as they see in this discussion the importance of communal participation in creating projects. So it will be best to record this conversation so that it will be easier to analyze later. So, the right kind of engagement is vital, as well as collaboration between all stakeholders and actors is creating projects that matter to the community. So, scholars, you should be sensitive to the needs of the community and hear what the members must say, because at the end of the day, they are the ones who would benefit in every effort that is geared to achieve a better quality of life. Okay, let's proceed to the step 4. Step 4. Plot the community needs, the SWOT and the force field analysis. While FGDs give the researcher important input on the topics relevant to the community, plotting the needs of the community develops the opinions and views of the people into workable models that can be acted on and solved with political will. So tools such as the SWOT or SWOT in the force field analysis are valuable in actuating the community needs. The challenge in plotting the needs falls into the researcher's ability to stitch stories together and see the bigger picture of the community. The SWOT analysis will help in pinpointing specific gaps for intervention that aids in mobilization planning. What is essential when dealing with the SWOT analysis is to clarify the variables you are inputting. So having a more specific or targeting data will make your analysis more direct and pragmatic. Abstract claims or variables may also put a part, but these are hard to measure or quantify, thus lacking the substance you need when using the SWOT analysis. So to use it effectively, always go back to the guide questions and back up your claims with data gathered through the prior models and tools used. Force field analysis emphasizes on the varying relational dynamics as well as the current situation on the status quo to draw out the central forces that counter change or reinforce development. So contrasting with the SWOT analysis, the force field analysis may have more abstract observation about the community because it studies the community with a larger lens or scope. It will include cultural, behavioral, or normative assumptions that may play a role in the dynamics being analyzed. So using both the SWOT and force field analysis can help the researcher gather important narratives that can be utilized in making specific plans for community action initiatives. So the needs of the community are often neglected in the process of community action initiatives. Most of the time, people's voices are not heard, or worse, they are not even allowed to take part in the discussions. Community leaders should always hear both sides of every story and try to keep abreast of latest developments. Using the SWOT and force field analysis in tandem will get you a deeper and more holistic take on the issues and thus create more viable solutions. So that's it. Let's proceed to step 5. Mobilize the project or the SPOA. SPOA, a specific plan of action or SPOA, should be used to concretize the plans into working models or improvement tasks. So more than being a guide for future projects, the SPOA is a tool that can be used to track and validate current projects. When using the tool, you will know if there are inconsistencies in the plans or priority areas that are left in the process of planning. Your role as a researcher is to uncover current roadblocks and assess how to solve them. The tools presented in this work text are like those that are in the field. So working with a real-life cases will help you see realities that you may have not known existed prior to taking this course. Through the SPOA, you are expected to break down your chosen project into details such as the budget, step-by-step activities, network, and time frame. Using this model demands discipline to deal with all the numerous factors and simplify complex variables to arrive at a working plan that is implementable. So coordination of the plans with the time frame and allocation budget challenges the practitioner to balance the necessary and dispensable. So ideal plans normally are the ones that do not pass the acid test of the SPOA. Unrealistic solutions may look great on paper but will not do much good in application. So as a community builder, it is not bad to dream up grand schemes to fight world hunger or stop war, but always consider that everything starts out small. All dreams starts off as a grain of idea that was cast and has slowly taken root. Your initiative for the community may also be a small at first, but with focus and determination, you too can make your grand dreams for your community come to life. When you pursue a dream, be prepared for any adversity and act with courage. Remember that you should do things not for your own gain but for the betterment of your fellow men. Some problems can be solved by simple processes, but it takes imagination and foresight from leaders to create solutions that hold value through time. Okay, let's go to the final step, the step 6. Evaluate and document the process, or use the project impact evaluation. Finally, we have evaluated the documentation. This may be the last but should not be overlooked. So first, evaluation's importance in the process is immense. It is in evaluation that we can look in front of the mirror and see what is missing. By considering who we are and what we have done, then we can truly plan our next move. It is only in our acceptance that we can see what we can do about our next endeavor or our future. So the project impact evaluation template will lead you to the inner workings of communities, institutions, agencies, and in practice, and how projects should be scrutinized and improved through this tool for self-evaluation. So remember that in your final project, you are expected to create your own analysis and improve a current initiative or initiative of a local government or NGOs of your choice. You are free to choose the concern you want to address and the improvements of the project you wish to implement. Make your variables and intentions clear to make your conceptual models, arguments, and analysis more precise. To have definitive proof of your work, measure your results by recording, tallying, and documenting everything during the implementation. You may first use dummy numbers to draw a projection of impact if you are on the proposal stage. But once the project starts, all data should be duly recorded and analyzed as benchmark and for future troubleshooting and calibration. So through proper documentation, we can fully encapsulate the story behind every initiative that has impact on the community. So as the last step, the process of evaluation and documentation ensures the continuity and relevance of the project. Even if a project is successful, there will always be another way to improve and scale the project to help more people and gain more insights. Okay, let's proceed. Experiences in community engagement, solidarity, and citizenship building. It is rather bittersweet that our expedition into the community is near its end, but it's also fulfilling to know that all of our efforts will soon bear fruit. Once it was our dream to contribute, yet we never knew how. Once it was our intention to help others but did not know what they need. Once it was indifference that prevented us from creating social impact. Now, we see the community in a different light, a unique way of understanding who we are and what we are as one society. It is the start of our journey not merely as bystanders and observers, but the movers of our community. Okay, community development in the Philippines. The spirit of community development in the Philippines is a tale of grassroots collaboration that taps personalities, agencies, and institutions to aid in the government's effort to serve the people. So the role of these actors is irreplaceable in terms of their real impact to communities across the Philippines, and their stories represent the flame of hope that burns within the community builders as well as ignite the passion to volunteer. So in this lesson, we will focus on the stories of the 3 best local NGOs in the Philippines that are in the front lines of their chosen advocacies: the poverty reduction, environmental protection, and women's rights. Okay. The first one is the Gawad Kalinga. There's a poverty reduction. One of the most awarded and well-known NGOs in the Philippines is the Gawad Kalinga, or GK, has left a footprint that future community builders dream to emulate. So with a name that translates into to give care, GK's primary advocacy and goal is to support community with housing and anti-poverty programs through the efforts of volunteers and donors. So GK's history stretches back from 1994, where the initial phases of the concept were incubated. However, it was only in 2003 when GK was formally established with its GK Expo, aptly named the GK 777, with the goal to build 7 million houses in 7,000 communities in 7 years. Currently, its mission is to end the poverty of 5 million Filipinos by 2024 through expanding initiatives, and also has extended its reach internationally with presence in Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, and Cambodia. GK envisions building a nation empowered by people with faith and patriotism, a nation made up of caring and sharing communities dedicated to eradicate poverty and restore human dignity. So GK's own paradigm sees the importance of targeting poverty by breaking the negative social reinforcement that perpetuate the very idea of poverty in both material and non-material forms, such as spiritual and mental aspects. More so, GK believes that to defeat poverty, there should be a concerted effort to create an enabling environment to empower everyone within the community. So to sustain this, GK puts importance to values formation and presence that it sees are keys for continued progress and development, which composes the core of its organizational philosophy. So the GK model has 2 primary ideas: the padugo, which literally translates into bloodletting, and bayanihan, roughly translated into being heroes towards one another. So these 2 concepts come together to illustrate a community that is grounded on collective participation and accountability. So GK has now expanded its scope as it has also included social business in its growth model, as well as a plan to mainstream anti-poverty initiatives through creating a movement to call on volunteers to join their advocacy for transformational change. Aside from being the premier community builders in the Philippines, GK also has now included peace-building initiatives and disasters through response and reduction in its advocacy that evolves and slowly expands toward further inclusiveness. Okay, let's proceed to the Haribon Foundation. The Haribon Foundation has long since been the primary NGOs for nature conservation in the Philippines. So it is founded in 1972, and its main vision is to transform everyone into biodiversity champions, and its mission is to advocate biodiversity conservation through building constituencies, empowering communities, and applying multidisciplinary research. Multidisciplinary research. So the inspiration of the name was derived from the Philippine eagle of Haring Ibon, which directly translates into King Eagle in English. Haribon Foundation strategy revolves around the four central goals, namely conserving sites and habitats, saving species, encouraging stability, and empowering the people. It is well known for the Haribon has had extensive experience in its community efforts and has since created a multi-sectoral models that has had a good track record based on their numerous successful and sustainable engagement through the years. So here are the Haribon's Foundation's core initiative. The conserving sites and habitats. This is the restoration of greening, planting projects, restoring of mangrove forests, improving coastal management, among other projects in partnership with companies and private individuals. Next one is saving species. This is the conservation of endangered animals and marine life. Third is encouraging sustainability. Encouraging sustainability is linking with the community and society groups in creating awareness to encourage sustainability and secure the welfare of already established protected areas. And the last one is the empowering people. This is training and educating the citizenry and mainstreaming its environmental initiative. Next one is the Visayan Forum. This is all about the women's rights. So instituted in 1991, Visayan Forum Foundation Incorporation, or the VP, is one of the most highly recognized NGOs in the Philippines, whose primary objective is to stop modern-day slavery and trafficking. So having been one of the pioneer NGOs in the 1990s, VF, or the Visayan Forum, is well credited for its 200-strong partnership in both local and international civil society organizations and other non-government actors. VP has also been known in effective use of its networks to help victims of abuses by providing much-needed support and services. VP is also active in disseminating public information regarding the dangers of human trafficking and modern-day slavery, creating community-based programs and mobilization of intervention and efforts for the promotion of women's protection against abuses. VP's mission is to innovate lasting solutions to end exploitation and modern-day slavery, while it envisions a society where people are free, protected, and empowered to explore opportunities without the risk of exploitation and slavery. So operationalizing Operationalizing this are its 5 core concepts that empower the organization to push towards the complete eradication of exploitation against women. So VF's 5 core values are: first, human transformation, compassion, and respect and dignity. Second, social entrepreneurship and innovation. Third, professionalism, excellence, accountability, and transparency. Fourth, courage and resiliency. And finally, teamwork and volunteerism. So that's all for this lesson. If you have any questions and clarifications regarding our topic, don't hesitate to message me. Again, this is Miss Mariela C. Rosario, your teacher in UMS 8. Thank you for listening.